I started this podcast because I was lonely. When I launched last August, I didn't have a marketing plan, a content strategy, or a clearly defined audience. I just knew that despite having more ways to connect with people than ever before, I was feeling increasingly disconnected. I was finding myself becoming more impatient than curious when I spoke to people. Now, I knew that the world probably didn't need another podcast. But I also knew that much of my life has been shaped by people who have been generous enough to make time to share what they've learned along the way. And I was curious, what might happen if I created more space for those kinds of conversations? So I started inviting people whose journeys I was curious about: founders, artists, executives, writers, coaches, parents, old friends, people who are willing to have the kinds of conversations that only happen when you let them breathe, when you're okay taking the scenic route. And so here we are, a year and some 20 conversations later. We've covered a lot of ground. And it's ground that definitely takes more than one listen to fully absorb. So, over the coming weeks, I'm bringing these conversations back, not chronologically in the order that they originally aired, but grouped by themes that are, I guess, dressed up as questions. Because if you know me, you know that I love questions. Questions like, how do you find your voice? What happens when the life that you worked so hard to build doesn't fit anymore? What makes creativity possible? How do we create community? And my personal favorite right now, what's the deal with midlife? So, some of these episodes are going to appear in more than one thematic group. And that's intentional because I've realized that I don't fit neatly into a single category, and neither do most people. And because most people don't fit into a neat category, their stories usually don't either. I'm also going to share some closing reflections that sort of close out each thematic group that I released along the way when I was starting to make sense of what I'd been hearing as conversations progressed. And so, whether you are returning to these conversations or maybe you're finding I'm here too for the first time, either way, welcome or welcome back. I hope you find the conversations that you need to hear or the ones that you'd love to share. Because even if there's just one nugget that helps you see your own life a little differently, asks a question that you didn't know you needed, or simply reminds you that we're not alone, then this journey will have been well worth it. Off we go.